can you tell me about Ahed Tamimi?
Ahed is just turned 17 and she's in prison. The Israelis imprisoned her last November. And the reason for it, her first cousin was shot in the head by Israeli soldiers. He eventually went into a coma, had some brain damage. And so when they came back, the same soldiers, a few days later, she slapped one of the soldiers across the face. And she was arrested, and they are saying she's going to be in prison for 5 years.
Oh my God.
There's an indication that the international attention to this may eventually force the Israelis to allow her to be out within 8 months. But the whole thing is just an example of the travesty of justice, the thugs who are now in control in Israel, not just Netanyahu, but many other thugs as well.
So I remember, it seems like it was a lifetime ago that Rachel Corrie was killed by the bulldozer, and now we have Ahed Tamimi. Can you is there any update you can give on Ahed's situation?
Sure. So Ahed Tamimi, she took a plea deal to serve 8 months entirely in prison, and this was actually a huge success. It sounds like it wasn't, but Ahed was arrested on December 19th in response to slapping a soldier who was invading the yard of her home. This was an act of self-defense, and she was charged with 12 charges, facing up to 20 years in prison. But what happened was the whole world rallied behind her. People signed petitions, they showed up on the streets, they showed up in congressional offices. The European Union spoke out, the UK Parliament spoke out, and we demanded justice for Ahed. And Israel felt this pressure. Israel wanted Ahed to be an example so that Palestinian youth was afraid to resist. But instead, the Palestinian youth were inspired by Ahed, and they took to the streets and in their villages and continued to say no to the occupation that touches every part of their lives. And the Israeli military and the government found themselves squeezed. They closed the courtroom to the media in response to try to simmer down the support for Ahed and her family. But it just didn't stop that. And so finally they offered what is the most they could offer in this court of injustice, because this isn't a court of justice, Israeli military court, and that was an 8-month deal. If Ahed had gone through trial, it would have taken over a year and possibly longer through trial and then conviction. They ended up dropping, I think it was 8 of the charges against her, which was phenomenal. So this was actually a victory, and her family is celebrating it as a victory. She has already served half of her sentence, and she's going to be finishing her high school education during her time in prison, and then we'll take her university entrance exams. And we at CODEPINK are working on bringing the Tamimi family to the U.S. at that point. What Israel found with Ahed Tamimi was that they couldn't break her. They couldn't break her spirit, and they couldn't scare her. And that for them is actually the most terrifying, because it is really, it's not just her. These are a people who have continued to sustain themselves and always continue to hold to their human rights and their homeland, and their knowledge that they will return and will have freedom and equality, and this actually can't be stopped.
Hi friends, thanks for tuning in to the Bill Houston podcast. If you appreciate my work, I would appreciate if you could make a donation in any amount. No amount is too large or small. You can get there by going to tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston. That's tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston, HUSTON. And by the way, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And when you do, don't forget to click that little bell, and that way you'll be sure to get a notification whenever I post a new video. Thanks a lot. See you next time.